RS5, one of the hottest names in performance cars, is back for a new generation, and it's like we've never known it before for two reasons. For one, it's now available as an Avant or an Estate. But more crucially than that, it is now a plug-in hybrid. In case you're a little confused about the name, let's clear it up. Thanks to Audi's weird and inexplicable nomenclature change a few years ago, the RS4, which came as an estate, is now the RS5. And the RS5, which used to be a coupe or a sportback, or even a cabriolet in previous generations, is no more. The formula is still a familiar one though. Engine up front, power to all four wheels, and lots of German sensibility in between. We'll get to the new powertrain soon, but before that, let's step back and take a good look at it. We have to start with the way it looks because more so than many other cars, I think this is just a breathtaking piece of design. The new A5 on which this is based, which replaces both the A4 and the A5 as we know it, was already a stunning and beautifully proportioned car. But this just takes it to another level, don't you think? I mean, those lovely organic looking headlamps, the way the bonnet sort of divots in the center over there with a bit of a power bulge. But everything comes down to this massive mouth of a grille. It's of course wider, but it's also longer. It sticks out, it extends further. That means there's more sculpture around the headlamps. It's sort of like a catfish face, but a very aggressive catfish, of course. This is one of the grille designs with the optional sport package. The other one looks a little bit different, but equally aggressive. And what I like, especially with a contrasting color like this red, is that it shows you how wide it is. This car has grown wider by 90 millimeters. Normally, that's what we talk about when we speak of length, but this is width, 9 centimeters wider. And that really shows in the way that this red body trim ends here and the middle is just black grille. While I've got you down here, really not a fan about these two radars. It's asymmetric, it's really bothering me. But apart from that, what a stunning face. This also has the traditional RS rhombus badge, and that's something I'll get to in a moment because Audi had sort of introduced this on standard models as well. And bringing it back for the RS model is sort of an admission that we'll come back to later, that they made a few mistakes that they're going to correct with this car. Yes, once the iconic red rhombus badge started showing up on entry-level models, it sort of cheapened their appeal, and it was no longer unique to the S and RS models. It's a similar story with the S-Line body kit and wheels, which started to look too similar to what the full-on sports models had on offer. But Audi says it will make a clearer distinction going forward, and you can see that as you move to the side of this new RS5. Again, it's these lovely flared wheel arches that really show off the extra width. The light is inset, but the arches bulge out. Now that's an Audi RS signature, and it's back for this car too. This is a sort of newfangled Audi RS signature, this sort of vent. At the base of the door, there's a carbon fiber side skirt. I suppose you can have that in just plain black as well. These semi-flush door handles, which are electronic, by the way. And over on the back, another very, very blistered rear wheel arch. It really accentuates this car's width and makes these wheels also stand out. Now, obviously, this car has grown since the previous RS4 and RS5. And to really give you an idea of that, the standard wheel size is 20 inches. And this is the optional 21-inch wheel. It is genuinely massive. And you also get now carbon ceramic brakes on this car, which this car has. Which is an option, but just the sheer size tells you how much this car has grown. Again, once you come to the back, a lot of interesting RS bits have been added for this car. You see the checkered flag motif in the tail lamps. You also see the RS5 badge, of course. And like the A5 and S5, there's an LED connecting the two tail lamps on either side. But the other new thing is this RS diffuser down here. You'll see these lovely exhausts with exquisite detailing. They're real. You can see the pipe inside there. There's a big diffuser, and they've moved the exhaust tips a little bit closer to the center to resemble some of Audi's older sporty models. I'm also a really big fan of this vertical reflector strip over there. And once again, the tail lamps being inset just a little bit make you really see how wide this car has gotten. Now this is an Avant or a wagon, and I am kind of a sucker for wagons. So we're going to talk about the boot. And unfortunately, the news is not that great. How much would you guess the boot figure is in this car? Well, it's just 361 liters. That's up to the seats, of course. It looks a little bit bigger than that, but the truth is they have been compromised by the hybrid system. Yes, the battery pack, 22 kilowatt hours of it, sits right here under the boot floor, and as a result, they couldn't go any lower with this. They say it's about 1 centimeter taller than the normal non-hybrid version, but frankly, that does create a bit of a compromise, although I suppose you could get quite a few large bags in here, no problem at all. That battery, of course, is part of a larger plug-in hybrid system. Using a 130 kilowatt electric motor mounted inside the 8-speed torque converter automatic gearbox, it can be driven on electric power alone. And though Audi doesn't quote a specific electric-only range, it says you can do pretty much all your urban driving in EV mode. But lest we forget, this is an Audi RS model. Now, going hybrid hasn't meant downsizing because this car still sticks with a 2.9 litre twin-turbo V6 of the previous RS4 and RS5. Thing is, just the V6 engine has gone up from 450 to 510 horsepower. But when you factor in the hybrid system and the electric motors, the total system output is 639 horsepower and 825 Newton meters of torque. That's nearly 200 horsepower more than the previous RS5. It's nearly 300 horsepower more than the current S5. That's quite a leap, and it really shows that they aren't messing around with the RS series of cars. I can't wait for the RS7 and the RS6. Those are going to be rocket ships indeed. That allows this car to get from 0 to 100 kph in just 3.6 seconds, and that's quite a feat given that the weight has gone up to 2.3 tons. Now, it's more than just the powertrain though. How couldn't it be? This is an Audi RS car, of course. Quattro goes without saying, this is an all-wheel drive car, but debuting in this model is a new kind of Quattro that's new for even Audi, and they say new for the auto industry altogether. A very intelligent German man explained it all to me very technically, and my brain started to melt. But in essence, what it means is that there's a new kind of rear differential that not only sends mechanical power to either left or right side of the rear axle, but also electrical power first. So the responses for torque vectoring are much quicker. It's also kind of the reason why the battery had to sit so high, because the differential actually takes up a lot of space back there. But the result, they say, and I can't wait to test this out, is that responsiveness from the rear diff and the torque vectoring is instantaneous. It's called dynamic torque control, and it allows for quicker and more precise control of the power that moves between the left and right rear wheels, apparently in just 15 milliseconds. And this is combined with a new center differential that has a sort of preload function, which always keeps it partially locked, helping to transition between on and off throttle quicker and more precisely, wasting none of that torque. That is a lot to wrap your head around, so let's take a break and look at something more familiar: the cabin. Now, this new generation of Audi interiors, we saw it on the Q5 and the A5, has been met with a little bit of controversy, and that's not without reason. It does feel like they've taken a slight step backwards, going with the trend of screens and more screens, where Audi interiors once used to be very tactile and very user-friendly. There's no doubt that, of course, that has carried over to this car. You get these two massive screens here. They sit quite high and they can obstruct your view. There's a third passenger screen on that side. But like with the badges on the outside, Audi has made amends. They're trying to fix things. So they've reintroduced a few physical controls, like right here on the steering wheel. You've got these roller switches. They're very tactile in true Audi fashion. You get hard buttons for RS and the e-boost function, and yes, there are physical clickable buttons on either side, and it really does make a difference. It makes this feel like a more user-friendly cabin. Even the screens, yes, they couldn't add more AC buttons. That's all still over here. But they've improved the graphics. They're more colorful, they're more friendly, they're more high contrast. So you can see things easier and touch things easier while you're on the move. It's not so hard to focus on the screen and take your eyes off the road like you had to in the earlier cars. That's a great step in the right direction. And of course, all that is helped by the RS treatment that this particular car gets. You get a nice little center marker on this RS steering wheel, which is flat up top and at the bottom. Lovely red accents, which by the way, you can choose a couple of different colors in the options list. Ambient lighting that goes not just at the top here, but down here into the Bang & Olufsen speakers, and all sorts of interesting RS touches. There's Alcantara or Dinamica as they call it here on the dashboard as well, and there's leather with cross-stitched rail going all the way from the doors onto the top of the dashboard. There's carbon fiber trim as well, and just generally a very nice ambient arrangement that makes you feel like you're in a very sporty car, which of course you are. Now here's the other thing. Another way that Audi realized that they were going a little bit astray was in the way they spec'd their cars. What would happen was that even a base model could be spec'd up to RS level, and that sort of cheapened the RS experience for somebody who bought one of those. So now what they've decided is that the RS is going to be an RS. It's pretty much fully loaded right out of the box. There are a few options, yes, but they're limited to very, very extreme performance things like the carbon ceramic brakes, for example. But most of what you see in here is standard, including these seats. Yep, sporty bucket seats are standard on the RS, and they do come with even massage function as standard. Only ventilation is an option as part of one technical package. Again, really it's Audi realizing their customers demand a little bit more from them and delivering on that front, and really that's a very good sign indeed. Now this is an estate car, so I gotta be a little bit practical, don't I? And well, the back seat of this car is decent. It's not too bad. The window is not huge, it doesn't go all the way down. I think the bigger problem here is that these front seats are just so chunky, they really block your view out the front. But space is okay, thigh support could have been a little bit better. You do get a fold-down armrest with some cup holders. There's rear AC vents and a rear zone for the climate control, and even a pair of USB ports. But yep, no sunshades over here, and although this car doesn't have a sunroof, you can get one as an option. But if Avants or Estates aren't your thing, there's also the sedan version. Well, strictly speaking, I think it's a sportback, or rather a liftback, because the boot opens like a hatchback, not like a sedan. Now inside here, interestingly, it's only about 30 liters less in terms of boot space than the Avant version. And as you can see, yeah, there's a load of room to store stuff back there. But yes, also like the Avant, the batteries have caused the boot floor to be a little higher than usual, and that limits practicality compared to the standard A5 and S5. But I think that's plenty of space, especially for the kind of performance you get. A little bit of compromise here and there isn't going to be too hard. Now, apart from the boot, the two cars are pretty much identical. I think this one weighs about 100 kilograms less than the Avant, but mechanically the same, powertrain the same, and all those lovely technical things. This particular car, though, is also a showcase of Audi's personalization options, and which is why it's in this rather fetching shade of green with some very interesting details. There's what Audi calls camouflage carbon fiber. It's sort of a chopped carbon fiber, and you'll see it in the accents all over. That's an option. It's down here. It's also on the wing mirrors, and it's even on the little spoiler at the back. You'll also notice this one has two-tone alloy wheels, as well as a lovely olive green shade for the brake calipers on these carbon ceramic brakes that matches the paint quite nicely. They've even got more of that green in the stitching, in some of the accents. It's even in the ambient lighting, and it's even in the seat belts. So which one are you, Team Sedan or Team Avant? Let us know down in the comments. Me personally, I'm usually a sedan guy, but I don't know, in this particular case, I think I like the station wagon better. So let's go back to that one. Now, I'm sure the big question on many of your minds is, will they bring this to India? Well, it is a bit of a question mark, and I'm sure you're all aware that Many of the other cars that we've driven so far, the Q5, the Q6 and the like, still haven't come to India. The thing is, those are more mainstream cars, cars that they might have to assemble in India. That requires a lot more investment and commitment. This is a halo car, and frankly, it's got India EU FTA written all over it. It's the small volume, high value sort of product, and I really hope Audi finds a way to bring a few of these to our market, whether in the Avant form, which is closer to my heart, or the sedan form, which is a little bit more conventional. This is really a standout halo product for the brand. And I think that's the sort of win they really need right now. So Audi India, please, fingers and toes crossed, bring the RS5 over to India very soon, please.